Welcome to another edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian, Pace reporting live here at the House of Swing, Jazz and Lincoln Center, here in the heart of Columbus Circle here in New York City. Returning to New York City for the first time since the pandemic has happened in 2 years is saxophonist, composer, and band leader Azar Lawrence. Now, Azar Lawrence is performing brand new music from his new CD, New Sky, which is now available on Amazon.com, CD Baby, and iTunes. And this album was recorded during the heart of the pandemic. And he wanted music to be produced where people can, one, take the woes off the world of what's going on, but also he wanted something to motivate as well as uplift people. Tonight here on the Pace Report, live at Dizzy's, you're going to see the Azar Lawrence Experience perform this new music, but I also have an exclusive interview with Azar, and we reflect on how the COVID-19 pandemic has shaped him as a musician and how he sees himself as a composer now. Also, we sit down and we reflect on his very dear friend and mentor, the legendary McCoy Tyner, who passed away at the very beginning part of this COVID-19 pandemic almost 2 years ago. So sit back, relax, and enjoy highlights of the Azar Lawrence Experience, performing new music from his new album, New Sky, live here at Dizzy's, here at Jazz and Lincoln Center, here on the Pace Report, here in New York City. Brother, it's good to see you again, man.
It's good to be seen and good to see you too.
Welcome back to New York, man. I
Thank
bet
you.
LA's treating you good.
Yes, it is treating me good, very good as a matter of fact. I'm, able to write and focus and, I mean the same thing I was doing when I was living here,
The new record, New Sky, this was really you extending yourself to make some music that people can be happy about during these crazy times we're going through.
Absolutely.
Tell me about this record.
Well, I wrote 8 of the 10 songs during the pandemic, and they were an inspiration. And just like the group, the Azar Lawrence Experience, New Sky record is a God job. And when I dropped off the scene, I had gone full force on the writing. Actually, in Tume and I started doing some writing together before I moved back out to California, and so I found I had a knack. I mean, my mother was a gifted pianist, and then I was with the greatest pianist in the world for 5 years. So then and I took piano lessons when I was young. So when I got back, we had a grand piano in the house there, my mother's piano. So I started working on that, and next thing you know, I got a synthesizer. But I was back, when I first moved back to L.A. after working with the masters that I'd been fortunate to work with, and so at any rate, though, I went into a time to write, and just got in that mindset, and one after another they were coming, and I formalized them and put them in in their proper bag or whatever, and develop them. And I was sending them to my manager Tracy, and she was like, "Dang, wow!" She had heard me say I was a writer and seen all the catalog, but it blew her away. She was like, "Oh wow, man!" The demos and stuff. At any rate, then I went in the studio with some gifted guys. John Beasley and piano, keyboards, Sekou Bunch. He's an honorary Isley brother.
Right.
Yeah, been with, everybody, Luther Vandross and what have you. And Tony Austin, who currently plays with Kamasi's group. And but he had been playing with me quite a while there on and off in different musical situations I was putting together. And yeah, man, he's those guys right there. That's a handful right there. Those
Right.
So they were very expressive in terms of my music, and when I picked them, like I said, it's a God job because I was directed by the higher energies that actually exist right within us. Through meditation, and disciplines of various types. We are able to, and if through the meditation, if you're able to slow down and stop and be silent long enough to listen to the little voice that's within you, then you receive guidance, and and of course, New Sky is directly related to all of the various possibilities, hope, love. Even financial, the PPP, all that stuff came in terms of the New Sky. It's possibilities, hope, all these things. There's a new fountain of these possibilities if one just takes advantage of it. And there's a whole other shift in energies. Then the pandemic seemed like that was the cleanse, shall we say, the cleansing of the old, or the breaking of the old crystallized thought forms, and the emergence of the new Aquarian age, if you will, thought forms. And so, was just partaking in that and I've always thought of myself as an antenna or someone that can channel the creative energies. I mean, me myself. I mean, who am I? I always would tell a person that I was going to work with or whatever. That's all I can promise is that I can get out of the way and let the Most High come through.
There you go. There you go.
So that's my gift. I can do that. As far as it's interesting because McCoy and I used to talk about the fact that a lot of people were expressing their technical side far more than their soul, and how and my thing was like, hey, well, we're the people that yes, we're expressing our soul, and then the technical aspect comes up to meet the expression of the soul.
during COVID, everybody who I used to, all the musicians I spoke with, you know, they were talking about how they reconnected with their family and they shedded more. They didn't even play. They kind of took time away from music to focus on themselves. Mm-hmm. What were some of the things that you worked on as far as your practicing and your compositions that moving forward now that the world is starting to reopen, what are some of the things that you're going to start channeling in musically on?
Well, time will tell that. I mean, but my thing was just working becoming more diligent in reference to the fundamentals. I went back, started to delve into the basics and really try to, get them down. A lot of times people, we skip over the basics, trying to be there, trying to be at the enlightened point when, or an opportunity perhaps, comes up, and then next thing you know, you're thrust into the limelight. Or, I remember Elvin Jones when I lived with him for 2.5 years before I joined McCoy, and lived and played with he and his wife a.k.a. And he would tell me, he said, "Look, man, you're over the physical part of your instrument. Just play." And so that sounded good to him to say that. I was like, "Oh, really? Okay, I believe you now." Okay, let me see if I can find what you're talking about.
That's crazy. L.A. has always been home for you, Baldwin Hills, and you left New York and you came back. Has L.A. always been like your recharge? Has it always been that place where when you go all over the world, L.A., I can just recharge? Or do you have other places that you can go and recharge?
New York. Yeah, New York. I mean, when I went back, I was directed by those same energies, the higher self, that I was always concerned that my mother and my father, that I would be there to take care of them. Now, my father, when he was getting ready to transition, I took care of him, but he was such a strong individual that I was used to him being strong, and it was a whole different dynamic. And as far as, I would have liked to have done more, but then, he was doing it all himself. I don't know, it was funny. But then my mother, about 3.5 years, I took care of her. And she thanked me, and I was like, "Hey, how many diapers you changed?"
That's right.
I said, "Are you kidding me?"
Right.
Because she had gotten an infection she was taking chemotherapy, and the shunt that had gotten infected, and then after that she lost control of her muscle. She couldn't. She said, "I'm an invalid." I said, "Don't worry, Mama, I got you."
Right.
And I had her too.
Right.
But yeah, shit. Are you kidding me? That's like a no-brainer, right?
That's right.
It should be.
Right.
But at any rate, though, so that was part of me going back, and my youngest daughter's mother from Philadelphia. Oh, let's go back there. Let's go back there. And I had just met Maurice White, and he was. Like, "Yeah, man, when I get back from Egypt, it's going to be your time." And that didn't ever come forth at that time. But I re-hooked up with Maurice and started writing with him. And then I wrote 3 songs on the Earth, Wind and Fire Powerlight album.
Powerlight, yeah.
Yeah, and we wrote other songs. We had some stuff for Jennifer Hudson.
Yeah.
Was it Jennifer Hudson? Yeah.
Yeah, Jennifer Hudson.
Yeah, Jennifer Hudson. And yeah, we wrote some songs and stuff, and I mean, that was the thing, because it was interesting, because when he was telling, he told me that one day, he said, "Yeah, man," he said, when he went in and told the group that, "Yeah, man, me and Azar wrote some songs," and they said, "What is this going to be, a dedication to John Coltrane album?" And they couldn't believe it was the funk,
Yeah.
And it was the funk, homies. I grew up, Watts 103rd Street, man.
Yeah.
Shoot, you name it. Ike and Tina Turner, just for a brief time. You know, I mean, shit, I was a funketeer.
Listen, that's the music of the Black American experience.
It is.
You know, I want to talk about Maurice. God rest his soul.
Uh-huh.
His autobiography came out 2 days after he died.
Did it? Oh.
Yeah, yeah. And in the book, he had an envisioning of how he was going to create the music, and it was called The Concept. And the concept was by way of Earth, Wind, and Fire, by way of his time at Chess Records as a session musician, a drummer. I want to ask you about Maurice as far as his music savvy, because this man incorporated a lot of musical elements within not just the Black American experience, but Brazilian and world music. He was just so music forward with everything that they did. What was it like working with Maurice?
Well, he and I we had a kindred spirit, and some of the meditation, some of the mystical teachings that I've studied over the years since the early '70s. He was versed in, and it was interesting because I had been writing. Patrice Banks, better known as Chocolate from Grand Central Station, was a friend, and she introduced me to Chuck Jackson. And he and Marvin Yancey produced
Natalie Cole.
Natalie Cole.
Well, he was married to, wasn't he married?
Marvin Yancey.
Yeah, he was married to Natalie. Yeah.
Natalie. But I never met Marvin. But come to find out, so when I lived up in Baldwin Hills, Chuck lived around the corner. But in Chocolate came by, and I was writing daily. And so he came by and heard the songs, and he was like, "Oh man!" Every day they'd come by after whatever they were doing, sessions or whatever they were doing, because he was one of the most workingest producers in L.A. at that time. And he'd come by and listen to some. Okay, I want that one, that one, that one.
Right,
I was like, "Yeah, here you go."
Right.
They gave him a cassette at that time. But yeah, so Maurice, I had taken my youngest and her mother up to the Pick Fair, which is a movie theater, and I looked, and a Porsche pulled up behind me. And I said, "That looked like Maurice." It was Maurice, right? So I said, "Hey, man," I said, I kind of stood out. "Hey, Zar," I said, "Man, I got some new music and stuff I'm writing." He said, "Man, I'm so glad I saw you, man." He said, "I just got back from Egypt with the group, and you don't even want to understand what I'm going to need to talk to you." I said, "Well, I need to let you hear some stuff." He said, "Okay, it's tonight, let's get together tonight." He said, "I got a dinner date, so it might be like late after, it might be midnight or I don't matter what time it is, call me." So he called me about 1 o'clock. And I went on up there, man, and it was funny because, he was saying, "Yeah, I want to talk to you about the spiritual stuff." And so when I got up to his house, and of course it was gorgeous. When I got up to his house, he was like, "Okay, let's just listen to this music, get this out of the way." He was like that. "Let's get this out of the way and so we can go talk." I said, "Okay." So he put one on. He said, "I'm hearing something. I'm hearing something." He was surprised. He said, "I'm hearing something. Wait a minute. I'm hearing something." Then so I said, "Well, I got, 2 of the 3. I have 3 songs." So he played the next one. He said, "Wait a minute. I'm hearing something. I'm hearing." He said, "Man, we never did talk about the." We never did. And what was really beautiful is, you can never, Quincy and guys like Maurice, and on that level, you can't. "Hey, I got something I'm gonna play for you over the phone." They're not gonna listen to something over the phone. But I told him, I got a 3rd song, man. I didn't bring it, but it's kind of like a Brent's thing. He said, "Man, oh man, I'd love to hear it." I said, "Well, okay," but he said, "Well, why don't you call me, or I'll call you at a certain time and play it for me." Oh, okay. So shoot, and it was so sweet the way he called and I played it for him. After I played it, it's such a sweet voice. He said, "Can I have that one too?" I said, "Are you kidding me?" He said, "Hell yeah, you can have that." Oops, I'm gonna sing. Oops. But that's just how that went up. Yeah, man, that's shit.
He was such a hands-on guy with the band. I interviewed Philip Bailey on the Pace Report, and Philip told me that it was if he had an idea, and the band was there, they would work on one idea for like maybe 1 to 2 or 3 days, depending on how it did. Was that kind of how it was when you guys went in the studio?
Well, when I went, we demoed the song up at Larry Dunn's house, and I was really proficient playing. I did all the synthesizer the bass parts, but on my demo, and so we played the song, we were playing it, and I did that. So they stepped over and had a meeting. So when they came back out of the meeting, they said, "Okay, we want you to play the bass." I said, "Wait a minute, no." I said, "I got parts for Verdine." I said, "No, man. We decided we want you to play the bass line." So that's me playing the bass.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I played keyboard bass. They got me down as keyboards, but yeah, it went like that. And then he and B. Lloyd, "Get Away," that wrote that. Yeah, they were in there, and so they stepped into the. They said, "Let's show Czar something." And they stepped into the vocal booth, and man, they showed me something. That was like a choir. I mean, they laid one group of parts, and later, man, it wasn't like they were working it out. It was just, they just knew each other so well. They were singing, and it was just the most beautiful thing I ever heard. It was funny on the Power Light thing. So he kept saying, "Yeah, man, I rewrote." He didn't say I don't know. He said, "Yeah, I rewrote the song again. I rewrote the lyrics again. So that was like the day before the listening party. I wrote the lyrics, and I was like, I got 2 songs on the power. I know I got 2 songs, and so because I had heard, and then he had worked on those. But the day before the listening party, he was saying that he rewrote the lyrics again. So I didn't know. Like, okay, that's cool. At least I got 2 songs.
Right.
Shoot, man. And the next night at the listening party, they started playing my song, man. And I was like, oh, shit. Because Larry Dunn said, "I know something you don't know." And, man, when I heard that, man, tears came in my eyes.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet this was the biggest band, R&B band, soul band in the world.
In the world.
At
that time.
ask you about two guys. COVID just been really wild these last 2 years, and we lost some very important cats.
Oh yeah.
One in particular we lost about 3 weeks ago, James and Tume.
Yeah.
Very dear friend of yours, and
Very dear friend.
tell me about the first time you met him. And James and Reggie Lucas, outside of the jazz world, they were some very important R&B and songwriters, and you guys knew each other in the jazz world. Tell me the first time you met him, and what did you notice about Toombs?
Yeah. Well, you know, I met him. He was playing with Big Black, and I met him at the Watts Jazz Festival.
Wow.
And we became friends right then. I think he was still living out there, and then he moved here, and then yeah, man, he was responsible for bringing Miles down to hear me everywhere I was at. He'd come to Ian Miles would come hanging, you know. But yeah, and Toombs, and
He was on your record.
he's on too, a couple of
Yeah, a
records.
couple of your records. Yeah, a couple of your records.
And I was on his early record too, and then he really just got upset with me because I moved out to L.A. He kept saying, "Bizarre, come back. I can't help you out there." Especially when he got more powerful.
Right.
He said, "Man, I can't help you out there, Czar. Come on, man, come back." He really wanted me to come back. But, you know, life is as it is, such is life.
Right.
You know, I was out there, and I had to experience life a certain way out there, and
He lived a very important life. He was an activist.
yes,
He
was.
wrote some great songs, great producer, great musician.
Yeah.
And during the beginning of COVID, we lost McCoy Tyner, your mentor,
Yes.
father figure. And
Yeah.
it was really those two live records that really put Azar Lawrence on the map, man. Really put you on the map. And give me some reflections, because you did play a tribute to him this evening, one of your famous compositions by way of McCoy. What are your reflections of him now?
Well, I mean, words can't quite capture it. I mean, you know, that's between here. We can't leave Elvin Jones out of it. Elvin Jones, the greatest drummer, dang near one of the greatest drummers in history. I mean, others, you know, there's other drummers you can speak of. I played with a couple of them. I played after Elvin. I played with Billy Higgins.
Right.
Yeah, so you know, Billy showed me a few things as far as like, you know, I was an Elvin Jones man. One night, Billy. So yeah, oh man, it was like he turned it up. It was like I mean, you know, I was like, shoo. But yeah, but you know, McCoy. It was like Elvin got me ready for McCoy, and you know, after I did that little short stint with Miles, you know, it was. I went back with Elvin because his Pat LaBarbera had taken my place, and they were having a child, and they asked me if I'd come back and you know, finish out the tour, which I did. And Elvin, he's the first thing he said to me when he saw me, he said, "Now you're in finishing school." I said, well, he said, "Now you're in finishing school." I was like, yes, okay. Yeah, here's my application. So, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and then McCoy, you know, he had, the guy told me, he said, "Don't forget, man, McCoy hadn't been gone from train that long." And those guys, they blossomed into some quite divas. I mean, I don't, you know, there was, you know, I never heard Train, but one night, McCoy said, "Come on," we were at the Village Gate, and Elvin's birthday, and they were at the Vanguard, and Jimmy Garrison was playing bass, and Jazz Bo was playing saxophone. So McCoy on the break, he said, "Come on, let's go over there, Azar." So over to the Vanguard, I went over there, man, and Jimmy was at the bar. Somebody else was playing his bass, and then McCoy, I turned my head and saw Jimmy, and I looked back, McCoy was walking through the audience going to the piano.
Right.
I was like, whoa. And then when he sat down with, they were playing, and so he put his right hand down, the other guy they transferred, and then Jimmy came up there, and the guy kind of was trying to hold on, and Jimmy said, "Give me the," he said, "Give me the damn bass." Oh boy, you know, Jimmy was no joke. And then that, man, "Softly as the Morning Sunrise" they were playing. That song changed when the three of them it changed. That's something I'd never heard before. It was like visions of being in the Amazon, let's just say, if you can envision that, and the Incas and the turquoise, all of those type of textures became visual. They were visual because a lot of times, like when I would sit next to the piano, McCoy's music was visual. When he would solo, especially when he would do his solo thing, it was like in the old cartoons where you see they have those caricatures of the notes, and they don't like on the pipe organ, and they have the voice, had the faces.
Yeah.
I could see that. You could see that. Each note it was alive. Each note was alive.
Wow.
I could see it. It was like, wow. When you started playing that, ding, I hear the note, it was like, oh, it opened up like that. Oh, man. It was, and he was saying, yeah, the whole concept is the animation of it, and there's a lot of people, he was telling me that a lot of pianists don't understand that not only is it a tone thing, but it's a percussive thing. So he had the blend of the hammers being percussion and striking the tones coming out of from the heart there. So it's very percussive. So at any rate, though, yeah, man, I learned so much from him. Miles, man, I learned. That man had experience was dripping off of him. It was just dripping.
But the thing that I think all the musicians who I've interviewed who told me have played with Miles, would it be safe to say that he allowed you to express how you wanted to express yourself?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, he gave me a compliment. He told me, because before I went down and played with him, I had heard, well, hey, he's, saxophonist, he's not letting them do anything but play soprano. So I said, look, Miles, I said, I said, you just want me to bring soprano? I heard, He said, no, you can. He said, you can play bassoon if you want. He said, whatever you want. He said, I haven't heard saxophone like that since train. So that was a big compliment.
That'll do it again for another edition of the Pace Report, reporting live here at Jazz and Lincoln Center, here in the heart of Columbus Circle, here in New York City. I'd like to personally congratulate the talented Azar Lawrence. Make sure you support his brand new CD, New Sky, which is now available on iTunes, Amazon.com, CD Baby. And for more information for his upcoming tour this spring and summer, visit him online at azarlawrence.com and follow him on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'd like to personally thank the staff and management here at Jazz at Lincoln Center and Dizzy's for their warm hospitality. As always, people, I can't stress this more than enough. Please like, share, and subscribe to my videos here on YouTube and Vimeo and leave comments. Also, people, follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Also, follow me on my website, thepacereport.com, for my weekly column, as well as my past segments. Until next time, remember, if it's in the groove, it'll make you move. Till next time, peace.